What was it about your story that you wanted to make sure the audience got to see and was captured in this film?
My transition, me, just the way I came from the street world to how my journey was to where I'm at today, what I'm working on today, changing my life. Most people don't get that opportunity. We don't get those second chances. And once God gave me that second chance, I said, okay, you gave me a second chance and this is what I'm going to do. So I wanted to inspire people, and I got to work with some amazing women, some girl power here.
So was that what attracted you ladies both to the story, the transformation? What made you decide that you wanted to be involved with the project?
For myself, it would be my partner in crime, Miss Tressa Smallwood, who let me get into the directing field. We did a short together. And she said, I really love your work ethic, Vivica. I'm going to give you something even bigger. At the time, I was like, oh, Lord, I'm happy I made it through this short. But she came very quickly with this wonderful story. And she explained what we wanted to do, that it was a feature. And the main thing was that we wanted to tell Tonesa's story accurately, because she had been portrayed so inaccurately that it was a beautiful challenge for all of us involved.
Yeah. And I ditto all that Vivica said about being able to tell the story accurately. I also was really attracted to Tonesa's story just because it was a story of redemption. I do a lot of mentoring with young adults, and what I find when mentoring is that they always feel like they don't have a way to change. They don't think it's possible. And so I was like, here's another opportunity to be able to show them a project that I've done. Like, look at this. This is change.
So we're taking on a period piece that takes us from 1980s Detroit all the way through Los Angeles and in the 2000s and so forth. What was challenging for you, or what did you learn about moving through those different periods and reflecting them accurately, but still staying true to the story?
Okay. So the cards, the telephones, and hairdos. Those were the three things we had to absolutely make sure that we got right. Because, people after when they see a film, they turn into critics and like, no, it wasn't like that really back then. So I am so grateful to Tonesa. She made herself so available that if we had a question about this era and what happened and how did you really wear your hair and would you dress like this, she was always available. And then, our crew, Tressa surrounded me with an amazing crew that all did their homework, made sure they did their research to get us the right kind of cars with the right kind of rims, the wardrobe department, making sure of that era that everything was of that era. And they did a screening the other night, Tonesa and Tressa, and there was a young man who wasn't even born through this time. And that was the one thing he said he really appreciated. And that really touched my heart, because baby, people would forget and have their smartphones on them. We're like, give me that phone. What you doing, man? About to mess up my era.
And the dialogue, Viv, remember Tonesa?
Yeah, oh, what up, though? What up, though? Yeah.
Tonesa, in telling your story, you're also sharing the story of others, including family members, your children, and you know what it's like to feel that the story that's out there isn't true to who you are and your actual story. What type of care did you take in ensuring that you were gentle with that extension to family members and so forth with this?
Well, it started back when I did Trap Queens. So it was like a family meeting to say, hey, I'm going to tell the story. My youngest son actually pushed me, like, go ahead and do it. Tell your story. You should do it. Because I didn't share years ago. I was just like, okay, I'm not going to tell my story. I don't, let them say what they wanted to say. So I'm glad he pushed me to do that. And then when the biopic came, it was easier to, transition and say, hey, I'm going to do a biopic, what you guys think. And everybody was supportive. They wanted it to happen, especially seeing another series that didn't portray me accurately. And so it was a very important for, if you're going to have me on television, let me tell it. Let me tell the true story. you know, and that was important for me. I didn't.
And can I piggyback off of that really quick? Her son was always on the set. He was running lines with people, helping out. And then her best friend, you know, she was always on the scene and giving us advice and things like that. So it was definitely a very family oriented set. You know, everybody really wanted to make sure that her story was accurately told.
So as a director and a producer, when you are dealing with a story that is true to life, but you still have to give it those dramatic elements and those things that, you know, make us as viewers locked in, which some of these are naturally built into the story. What do you do to ensure that you're hitting those points, but still, you know, showing care and gentle and respect to the real life side of this?
She had a lot of drama going on, so.
Was it hard for that?
I mean, some of the scenes, I'm so grateful to my amazing cast. My cast, they showed up and showed out. When there was super dramatic scenes, everybody left their egos at the door and dug in. So I commend my cast. There was a lot of emotional scenes. There was a lot of physical scenes. Then, you know, we had our love scenes because there was a love story involved in there. So we wanted to show Black love in a beautiful, but not a gratuitous way that it took away from the love story and the story just to do a stupid sex scene. So we handled everything with a lot of care. But to be honest with you, the story carried itself. It really did.
So in bringing this to an audience, what has been the most amazing part of this journey for all of you, but starting with you, Vivica, as it is your directorial debut?
Well, and I'm not going to cry. The other night, the two ladies had a screening. And Tressa sent me the reaction of the audience, and it just touched my heart. Like I said, I'm going to be strong, but I burst into tears because, they'll tell you whether or not, Black people, they'll really let you know whether or not they like something or not. That was whack. I didn't believe it. But their reaction we made this film in 14 days. And their reaction of her story, who Tonesa really is, they were touched, they were moved, they laughed, they cried, all the elements that you want an audience to get because that's her story and they enjoyed it. So that's what's the most rewarding for me.
Tonesa?
What's so important to me is to see these amazing people that believed in my story. Like I said, all the producers from Tressa, Director Fox, Judge Mathis, the least, all of them to say, hey, we want to do your story, and to be living to see it. And I keep thinking, I'm a girl from Detroit, that was in the streets, but my story was important enough to tell. That don't happen often, so I'm just overwhelmed with joy. And to watch the way they put the story together, because it's nervous. You're looking at a script, but I don't know how it's going to come together. And then once I seen it put together, it was like very emotional. I'm like, oh my God, I'm happy. And the screening, when people loved it, that was like, okay, another extra bonus. So yeah, that's what I see.
I think for me, it was it's two things. The first was Tonesa's reaction. When she first saw the movie, I sent her a Zoom link and I said, hey, let's get online and let's watch it together. And I was really nervous. I mean, I don't typically get nervous, but I was nervous because I said, this is somebody's life. Most of the movies that I do are scripted. This was my very first biopic where it was, not fictional scripted. So I said, okay, we would watch it, and every 20, 30 minutes, I would stop it. And I would say, Tonesa, how you feeling? And she was like, oh my goodness. She was just in awe. And I don't know if she was in awe because she didn't think it was going to look that good. I don't know why, but she was like, I love it. I love it. So, by the time I got to the end, I said, wow, Vivica and I hit it out the park. I think the other most rewarding part for me is that on a network perspective, obviously you already know the statistics in Hollywood. They're there's a very small percentage of African-American female producers and African-American female directors. So from a standpoint from Vivica and I, you know, we're always going to be judged from a network standpoint. And they said we hit it out the park, baby. The audiences said we hit it out the park, and Tonesa said we hit it out the park. So I said, Vivica, we winning.